Hello everyone, and welcome back to this Python programming course where you are going to learn everything you need to get started programming in Python. In this video, we will be looking at Python objects and classes in object-oriented programming. So let's jump right into it. An object is simply a collection of data, variables, and methods or functions that can act on that data. Similarly, a class is a blueprint for that object. We can think of a class as a sketch or a prototype of a house. It contains all the details about the floors, doors, windows, etc. Based on this description, we are able to build a house. So the house is the object. As many houses can be made from a house blueprint, we can create many objects from a class. An object is also called an instance of a class, and the process of creating the object is called instantiation. Like function definition begins with the def keyword in Python, class definition begins with a class keyword. The first string inside the class is called a docstring and has a brief description of the class. Although not mandatory, this is highly recommended. For example, here we have class person. This is a person class, age 10, print person.age, print person.dog. So if we save this and run, here we have 10, then this is a person class printed to the screen, representing the age and the docstring of the class. A class creates a new local namespace where all its attributes are defined. Attributes may be data or functions. There are also special attributes in it that begins with double underscore. For example, double underscore doc gives us a docstring of that class. We saw that the class object could be used to access different attributes. It can also be used to create new objects which are instances of that class. The procedure to create an object is similar to a function call. So here we have Harry equals to person, then Peter equals to person. And this will create a new object instance named Harry, and Peter equals to person will create another object of the person class named Peter. Class functions that begins with double underscore are called special functions as they have special meaning. Of one particular interest is the init function. This special function gets called whenever a new object of that class is instantiated. This type of function is also called constructors in object-oriented programming. We normally use it to initialize all variables. So here we will modify our class person to include our constructor. So we have the init method or constructor, def double underscore init double underscore self, name and age. So this is the default format of a constructor. Then inside our constructor we have self.name, which will take the value name that will be sent to the constructor, then self.age, which will take the value age that will be sent to the constructor. So once we are done with the creation of our class, we can step out of it to be able to create the new objects, that is to be able to instantiate the class. So in order to create a person, we have person1 equals to person. In this case, we now have to send two arguments to our class, which are the name and the age. So we have person in bracket Harry and 25. And if we want to create a second person, we have person2 equals to person, then Peter and 30. So if we want to print the age of the first person, we print person1.age, and if we want to get the name of the second person, we have print person2.name. So if we save this and run, we have 25 representing the age of the first person, and then Peter representing the name of the second person. Instant variables are used for data which are unique to each instance of a class, whereas class variables are for attributes and methods shared by all instances of a class. Instant variables are variables whose values are assigned inside a constructor or a method with self as property, whereas class variables are variables whose values are assigned in the class. So for example, here we have a class for dog. Class dog this is a dog class. Then as class variable we have animal equals to dog. The init method or constructor, we then have the init method or constructor, def init self. We have the breed and the color, which has to be given as parameter for every instantiation of the class. Then we have instant variables, self.breed equals to breed, then self.color equals to color. So with this we are done with the creation of our class dog. So objects of dog class, if you want to create new objects of the dog class, we have Roger equals to dog, the breed is pug and the color is brown. Then we have Buzo equals to dog, breed bulldog, and then color black. If you want to print Roger details, we simply print Roger details. Then we have to access the class variables. To access the class variable for Roger, we have print Roger is a Roger.animal, which should give us a dog to tell us that Roger is a dog, and animal in this case is the class variable as we saw above. Then we have accessing the instance variable. We will be printing the breed with print breed Roger.breed, then print color Roger.color. So here breed and color are the instance variables of our object. Then to print Buzo details, we simply copy the same thing and paste. We have print Boza details. Print Boza is a Boza.animal. We just correct this Roger to Buzo. Then accessing the instance variables, we have print breed Buzo.breed and then print color Buzo.color. So as I said, the class variable is, in this case we have animal, and then the instance variables, in this case we have the breed and the color, because they contain an attribute self. So finally, we can also access the class variable using the class name. So in this case we will have print dog.animal, where dog is the class name and animal is the class variable. So printing dog.animal to display the class variable to the screen. So once we are done, we can save this and run, and we have. So here we have Roger details. We have Roger is a dog, breed pug, color brown. Then we have Buzo details. Buzo is a dog, breed bulldog, color black. And this last dog represents the class variable gotten from the last print statement we put, which was accessing the class variable using the class name. Up next, we will be looking at how to modify object property. So for this, we'll be using back our class person. So let's get started. So here, if we want to modify the age of Harry, we simply write person1.age equals to, and we put the new value we want to put. We initially had Harry to be 25. Now we will change it to 26. And once that is done, we print Harry's new age is person1.age to be able to see the changes. So if we save this and run, we have 25 Peter, then Harry's new age is 26. So 25 represents the age of Harry before the modification, then Harry's new age is 26 after the modification has been done. In addition to modifying object properties, you can delete an object's properties and even the object themselves by using the del keyword. For example, so here we have person2 being Peter with age 30. So if we print person2.age to the screen, we should have 30 printed to the screen. Then we go deleting person2.age, we use the del keyword, we have del person2.age. And if we try printing person2.age to the screen, we should have an error message. Then we can also delete the entire object, which is person2, by writing del person2. So if we save this and run, we have 30 printed to the screen representing the age of person2. Then we have an error message saying person object has no attribute age because we deleted person2.age. This is basically it for this video, but before we end this video, I am going to paste a practical exercise here for you to keep learning and implementing the concept of objects and classes you just learned today. The link to the solution to the practical exercise is attached in the video description below, but before checking it out, make sure you try writing the code first. In our next video, we are going to look at methods in object-oriented programming. So, see you soon.